Hello, I'm Paul Zoidis, the Aussie Rapper, helping mates create wealth. I hope you have viewed the 3 previous videos where I shared the steps to property vendor financing. Step 1, research. Step 2, buying the house. Step 3, wrapping the house. Now I know many of you like the idea of vendor financing because you believe it is a great way to build positive cash flow, but are afraid to step into it as you are not familiar with the legal side of things. Today I invited Tony Cordato, one of the top lawyers in Australia, proficient with the legal aspects of property vendor finance, to answer all of your questions on property vendor financing legal matters.
G'day, my name's Paul Zoidis, the Aussie Rapper. I'm really looking forward to today because I'm talking to Tony Cordato, the absolute legend in vendor financing law. So you're going to get excited as much as I am because all the legalities and people want to know. So my name's Paul Zoidis, the Aussie Rapper. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Tony. Over to you.
Hello, Paul. Hello, everyone watching. It's a pleasure to talk about vendor finance. In fact, it's one of my favourite topics to talk about. Because it's so useful out there, but not many people know about it. So I guess we're here today, Paul, to share a bit of knowledge, to expand the group of people who know about it and people who can use it.
Absolutely, Tony. Tony, tell us how long you've been doing vendor financing law.
For over 20 years, but before that I did a bit of vendor finance myself, particularly for country properties that were hard to sell, and found it worked very well. So then I came across people who did it professionally, and It's all gone from there.
Wow, man. Wow. So you've been doing it so why do you believe in property vendor financing, Tony, yourself? Because you've dealt with it for a long time. Why do you believe in it?
Well, it works for both sides. It works for sellers and it works for buyers.
Right.
It's what they call a win-win.
Right. Right. That's fantastic. So just to explain in layman's terms, people that are trying to get their head around vendor financing, I say the wrapper, which is the vendor, and the wrappee, which is the person that you're on selling it to. Can you explain a bit more how it's how easy it is, Tony, once you get your head around it?
Yeah, I always like to think of it as going into a cake shop and asking about, can I buy the whole cake? Of course you can, but it might cost you $60 to buy the whole cheesecake or carrot cake.
Right.
But you can't eat the whole cake once.
No.
It's actually better to buy it by the slice. So you buy a slice for $5.
Yes.
And you can keep buying a slice and eventually you buy the whole cake. So,
right.
So vendor finance is like buying a cake slice by slice.
Right. And what the wrapper selling the property, the vendor finance, the people at the wrappee can't get a bank loan, Tony. Now, what do you think? Why do you think people can't get bank loans? What do you think the main, holding point is for banks?
Well, actually, there's 3 categories of people who have trouble getting bank loans. Number 1, people with low deposits.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've only got $25,000 deposit on a $500,000 property, which is 5% deposit.
Right.
5%'s too low for most loans, most banks.
Yep.
You need 10%. I mean, their income's fine, they can pay off the loan, but just don't have enough deposit. For a whole lot of reasons. They may not have a whole lot of deposit. They may have only started a new job. They may have had a big expense. There's a whole lot of reasons, but they want to get into a house to own,
Yes.
not a house to rent.
Of course.
So here is the opportunity for a wrapper, a seller, to let them into a house with a 5% deposit,
Yes.
and they pay off the rest by instalments.
Yes. Yes. And as you know, and both I know, people are worried when you do want to sell a house to a wrappee, the person buying the house, the title still remains with the actual wrapper, doesn't it? The actual vendor. They still own the house until the people pay it off in instalments or sell or refinance.
Well, it's the same as buying a slice of a cake. You don't get a slice until you pay for it.
Yes.
So if you're buying a house slice by slice, you don't get the property to be in your name until you've fully paid for it.
Absolutely, Tony. Absolutely. Now, Tony, is vendor financing risky?
I don't think it's any more risky than buying and borrowing from a bank. I mean, you still have to make the payments if you're the wrappee.
Yes.
And the wrapper, well, you expect to receive the payments, and if they're not made, well, you have to do something about the situation.
Of course, Tony. And Tony, can you just put it in layman's terms about an instalment contract? What it is and actually how it works?
Well, it works just like buying a normal house, but instead of having a bank loan, the seller gives the loan.
Right.
The vendor gives the loan. That's why it's called vendor finance, not bank finance.
Bank finance. And this is what you do as a lawyer, the vendor finance lawyer. It's all done with you. All the paperwork and everything. It's all sorted out through you as a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like with a bank loan, there's paperwork called a loan agreement and a mortgage. With vendor finance, there's a vendor finance instalment contract, which has similar kinds of stuff to a loan agreement.
Absolutely.
The same regarding payments. So it's just a different set of paperwork because you do it in vendor finance, not bank finance.
Good. Now, Tony, what would be the 6 things a wrapper must be aware of if he's to be successful in vendor finance?
The seller. Yeah. The seller. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they've got to have a property that can be lived in, generally.
Yes.
They can do it with land.
You can do it with land? Yep.
People will pay off a block of land. Because who else is going to make the money on a block of land? No one.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It works well with people who move in. The property and start making payments. So that's number 1.
Yes.
2, the buyer has to have some kind of income.
Right.
This is not social housing. If you're in settling, go to social housing. If you want to buy a wrap property, you've got to have income.
Yes.
Now, the income can be self-employed income, be salary income, but it's a good, steady income.
Right.
Number 3, it suits people who for some reason are having trouble with getting a bank loan. Maybe they've got a black mark on their credit rating because they've not paid an electricity bill or a phone bill, or their partner has put it into their name and they haven't paid it. There are stories about black marks, and these days having clean credit for 2 years is pretty much essential for a bank loan.
Right, mate. Right.
That's number 3. Number 4, the buyer, the Wrappee, is responsible for maintenance.
Yes, Tony. Yep.
Responsible to pay the rates, responsible to reimburse the insurance. Basically the maintenance, and if they've got any talent at all at holding a paintbrush, they can improve the property and add value to the property simply by a little bit of what we call cosmetic renovation.
Yes, Tony.
About, adding new family rooms or anything like that. Just a bit of paint, taking up the carpet and polishing floorboards.
Yes,
fixing broken lights, broken doors, broken screen doors. Just doing things like that inside the house.
Right.
Cleaning up the garden.
Yes, Tony.
It's amazing how much difference a well-presented front garden makes to a house.
Absolutely. The first impressions are always the best, aren't they, Tony? Especially with a front, as you said, a front garden.
Yeah, spend your time in the front garden and not in the back.
Absolutely, Tony. Absolutely. Okay.
Very important. The 5th thing, well, there's got to be what we call an exit strategy.
Yes,
so the Wrappee is not expected to keep making payments for 30 years. They're expected to build a bit of equity in the property. Equity means increase the value. Now, equity can just come naturally. Property values go up.
Yes,
add to it with renovation. And when you've got enough equity in the property to get a normal bank loan for another 30 years to pay off the house.
Yes.
And which leads to number 6. I mean, the sooner they can refinance, the sooner they get the property title to be in their name.
Exactly. No, that's great, Tony. And Tony, what else on the legal side is there to think about, or your concern, or the other solicitors are concerned with the Wrappee? Is it? Could you just explain what else is involved with legal paper wise?
Yeah. Well, the Wrappee, the buyer, is concerned that they're making all these payments.
Yes.
They just want to make sure that it's going into the account of the wrapper.
Yes.
Seller, into their account, and particularly their loan account. So they'll just make sure that the payments are going towards the mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
To reduce the mortgage. So that's important.
Yeah.
The other thing is that they're in the house, so it's hard for anyone to sell a house when somebody's living in it.
Yes.
So the Wrappee is protected because they're in the house, but they take out some legal protection by way of what's called a caveat, which is a registered document. On the title of the house, and it stops the seller from selling it to anyone else, and stops the seller from obtaining any new mortgages against the property. So being in possession, having the caveat, is the Wrappee, the purchaser's security.
Beautiful, Tone. Beautiful. Now, Tone, do all states in Australia recognise vendor financing?
Well, they all recognise it, but there's a few states that don't like it a lot. For a start, South Australia doesn't like it because they say you can do vendor finance, but you can only have 4 instalments.
Oh, right, Tone. Right. Okay.
Including the deposit and the balance price. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much obsolete in South Australia. And Victoria says you can do it for houses which are sold above $750,000. And again, that's not much use because most of these houses are sold with instalment contracts at the lower price range.
Yes.
So effectively, Victoria doesn't like it either.
Right.
Now, it's okay in Queensland.
Yeah.
Queensland's quite sensible. They say once a third of the price has been paid, then the property has to be transferred into the buyer's name.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of a good place for the buyer to be and say, well, you should be refinancing.
Yes.
Once a third of it paid, of course, you should be refinancing. And so that is actually written into a Queensland instalment sales contract. They have to refinance once they're paid.
Yeah.
But the rest of Australia, well, New South Wales, Western Australia, Tasmania, ACT, they're just fine. They're just fine with instalment contracts.
Beautiful, Tony. Beautiful. And Tony, how much is it for the legal fees? How much do you charge for the legal fees?
We're talking round about 1,500.
Right, Tony. Right. I'd like to talk about the delayed settlement, but it's a different word. You've got a different word for that. Delayed
completion.
Delayed completion, yes. Can you just explain a little bit about that, please? Huh?
So delayed completion is, I call it a vendor finance technique because it is, but it's different.
Yeah.
Delayed settlement, well, a normal settlement, depending on the state you're in Australia, be between 30 days and 60 days.
Right, no.
Sign the contract. So you sign the contract 30, 42, 60 days later, you pay the price and it's all over. Now, that suits a lot of people, but not all. Some people want to stretch the time, to delay the completion time.
Yes, John.
These days I'm seeing a lot of normal purchasers offering 90 days. They want 90 days to settle instead of a shorter period. When they're going to auction, so they say, we'll bid at the auction, but we want 90-day settlement.
Right.
And we want 5% deposit, but let's concentrate on the 90-day settlement. And why do we want 90-day settlement? They want time to sell their own house. So they'll buy first and sell later. So that's a delayed completion, but a short delay. That could suit a vendor. Vendor may want to sell first and buy later. Or why? Because they may be moving to the country, they may be moving interstate, they may be moving overseas. They just want some time to organise their affairs. So some sellers might want 6 months or even 12 months. That's delayed completion. So the purchaser gives them a deposit. Deposit sits in an account, a trust account, and the vendor has time to do what they want to do. Organise, buy another property, finish building a house on another property. There's a whole lot of reasons why vendors may want a delayed completion. And they think the seller keeps living in the property, pays the rates, pays the insurance, and the purchaser just waits.
Yes, Tony. Yep.
From the purchaser's point of view, they may be happy with it because they may see the property as a development site.
Yes, Tony.
I'm seeing a lot of people sell land or their house as for land value, so the purchasers want to build a duplex on. And like it takes a little bit of time to get all the approvals for a duplex, so it suits the purchaser to have a delayed completion.
Right, Tony. Right.
It suits property developers
Yep.
have delayed completion because it takes at least 12 months to get a property development approved.
Yes.
Maybe subdivisions will take 2 years. So again, they're happy to pay a deposit, and they use the delayed completion period to do their get their approvals done.
Yes.
So, also works with commercial property. So property, it could take 6 months to get a tenant.
Yes, Tony. Yep.
Could take up to 6 months to get approval to do a fit out. So you often see commercial property sales at 6 months, sometimes 12 months delayed completion. It's a simple tool, but a very effective tool, very useful.
Right. Now, Tony, is there anything else that you'd like to add or talk about with vendor finance that you off the cuff that you can think of?
No, I think the other thing I would say is purchasers have to ask for vendor finance.
Right.
They ask for a delayed completion if they want it. It's not just offered.
Yes.
And as for Wrappee, normally vendors will say that they will give vendor finance terms. You don't see vendor finance terms advertised very often. No. So it's something that a vendor has to offer out there. Why would a vendor offer it? Well, they get a little bit more money for the property.
Yes, Tom.
It may be hard to sell property for particularly rural properties which have what's called postcode limits. Postcode limit is where lenders won't lend more than maybe 65%, 70% or 80% of the price because there's not enough people. Towns with less than 2,000 people have postcode limits. Acreage, 1 acre, 2 acres, 5 acres will have postcode limits. So if you're a vendor, to actually sell a property like that, you need to give some kind of vendor finance to help the purchasers buy the property.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, tell purchasers you don't have cash. Well, helping purchasers don't have cash, you're expanding your pool of purchasers and you're going to make the property easier to sell.
You're right, Tom. Right. That sounds fantastic. That's really, really good.
But it's for the vendor to think about this.
Yes.
Sometimes you get a purchaser coming along and making an offer on along those lines, but generally the vendor has to advertise it that they will provide vendor finance to approved purchases.
Yep. Tone, just the properties that you're involved in, what sort of properties that you're involved in at the moment? Are you involved in many vendor finance properties at the moment, or have you been involved with many lately?
Yeah, and they're mostly regional properties at the moment.
Right, Tone. Right.
For houses.
Yep.
And they're commercial properties
Right.
everywhere really, because, and development sites
Right.
everywhere. Sorry, most development sites will be sold with delayed completion terms.
Yep.
6, 12 months. So they're not at the moment for your normal housing, but if times get tight and money gets tight, vendors may have to offer vendor finance for normal housing.
Yes,
if banks aren't particularly interested in doing the lending.
Yep. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Tone?
No, I think that's
about
all.
it.
It's a question of having a bit of a think about it, getting onto your website and out a bit more detail about it, and don't be afraid to use it. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely, Tone. Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. I really, really appreciate that. That's great, Tone. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony mentioned that vendor financing is a win-win for both the vendor who wants to increase his investment portfolio and the buyer who couldn't get a bank loan. The vendor in a vendor financing situation is referred to as the wrapper, and the purchaser is referred to as the wrappee. Let me summarise. 1. The wrapper gains a passive monthly income from the instalments. Normally, the instalments are 2% higher than the bank rate. If the wrapper has taken a bank loan to purchase the house and now financing it to the wrappee, the money received from the wrappee will cover the bank instalments plus a positive cash flow monthly. Number 2, the title of the property still remains with the wrapper. 3, the wrapper is helping the wrappee along the path to home ownership. 4, after several years, the wrappee can apply for a bank loan and pay the wrapper the full amount for the house. The wrapper makes a profit from the refinance or sale of the house. 5, if the wrapper is purchasing a house to on-sell, he can ask for a delayed completion. This would allow him time to find a wrappee, so now money and time are now on the wrapper's side. For more information, get the Aussie Wrappers Complete Guide, www.aussiewrapper.com.au/VIP. You can make multiple income streams a reality through vendor financing. I have made $307,000 doing vendor financing part-time. I thought owning investment properties through negative gearing was a good way to beat the tax man, but that's not true. Many who had gone through negative gearing had lost the opportunity to build monthly positive cash flow. After doing vendor financing for 30 years, I wanted to share this knowledge with you so you can start creating your own positive cash flow. The Aussie Wrappers Complete Guide is all of my knowledge and expertise put together to help you beat the negative gearing rat race and build yourself a positive income stream. That alone is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I normally sell it for $3,440. Today you only pay $997, saving a whopping $2,443. Another 71% discount off. So grab the Aussie Wrappers Complete Guide now at aussiewrapper.com.au/VIP. Here's what you get with the complete guide. 1. You get a complete guide folder with all the guidance you'll need to build positive cash flow through vendor financing. This is a wealth of my knowledge and expertise collated and updated over 30 years to give a really good head start to property vendor financing. 2, a discovery call with me to answer any questions you may have on vendor financing. 3, 6 PDF courses emailed to you fortnightly. 4, email support in case you have any questions on vendor financing. 5, industry contacts so you can get all the support you need to wrap a house successfully. 6, 7 Biggest Fears DVD, all heroes need assurance, so this is a good motivational piece. 7, the Australian Wrap Report, which gives you the insights, tips and tricks to vendor financing. I want you to create positive cash flow and wealth at the same time helping others who get rejected by the banks to own a home. It's a win-win situation. Go to theaussiewrapper.com.au / for the complete guide and get an immediate 71% discount. I'm here to help you create wealth, so jump on. See you soon. Paul Zaludis and I am the Aussie Wrapper, helping you generate wealth.